I was looking for strength my entire life. I didn't have any. When you're born, man, there's some sensitive years in there, man, where your brain starts to develop and it starts to give you self-esteem, courage, confidence, all those things. And my dad was stripping that away from everybody. And when you see your mom, the worst thing to do is when you see your mom getting beat senseless at a young kid. Mm-hmm. That shit scars you permanently. So she was 19 when she went there, and she was an innocent 19-year-old, and she came from a great family, and she met this man, and totally just it was brutal. It was very sadistic the way she was tortured by him, and the way my brother and myself were, and that broke me and my brother up. My brother loved my father a lot. He saw something very different than I saw, because whenever my mom and I would get beat, my brother, I'm not calling him a coward by any means, he handled it very different than I did. He would go in his room. He didn't want to see the beatings. I would protect my mother. So in that, I saw a lot more of the violence. I was trying to protect her, and me trying to protect her, I really got beat. Mm-hmm. So when you're constantly in that battle, in that struggle, and your brother's going in a different room because he didn't want any part of this shit. He hated it, and he loved family. You know, he loves family. And I became the person like, hey man, I'm not about it. And that was hard for an 8-year-old kid, because when we moved to that small town of Brazil, Indiana, I had a learning disability. I was stuttering. I was battling so much shit that I never even told my mom about, because she was battling her own demons. So at 8 years old, I'm looking for comfort, and I'm like, hey, don't bother your mom with shit. You were not the man of the house. And I started becoming real protective of my mother at a young age. So whatever you're going through, man, you're on your fucking own. You're not gonna tell your mom shit. And she ended up finding out later through the school systems and through me failing and through me, you know, all these issues I went through. She found out a lot, but you know, I kept as much as I could from her, man. And that really was a hard task for me to raise yourself mentally when you're already in the deepest, darkest dungeon of all time. And I think that's where I started really creating myself. I had to really start creating a certain pattern, a certain process, a certain kind of indestructible toolbox to handle my life. That was actually trying to be a Navy SEAL.
That was a different test.
Right.
But, yeah.
So that was a very emotional moment for me. And I'm actually there right now in my head talking to you. I remember that moment like it was yesterday. I was a fat guy trying to be a Navy SEAL now, and my life had come to this crossroads where I'm like, man, you have to go right. And no one was going right. Everybody was going left. I'm like, you have to go right. And to know the pain and suffering I was about to endure by going right, the amount of accountability and failure I was going to witness and suffer by myself alone on this journey, it was daunting. New life, but the thing about it is, I'm trying to be a Navy SEAL. At this time, I was still 200 and some odd pounds. I still had more weight to lose. So think about this. I put everything on David Goggins to be a Navy SEAL. It's like going to the crap table with your last $1,000. And you say, you know what? I'm gonna put everything on this fucking, on black. And hopefully I win. If not, I'm broke. I put my whole life, a guy that was scared of the fucking water, a guy that could fucking taught himself how to read and write, on being one of the hardest motherfuckers on the planet. Think about that shit. A guy that came from nothing. I put my whole life, and I'm gonna go out here and put everything on David fucking Goggins to be a Navy SEAL. Not to go be a fucking, Boy Scout or some shit, a Navy SEAL. And I look at that, and I did all this shit just to get the opportunity to succeed. That's what people don't fucking understand, man. People see the end result. I remember that guy saying, my God, man, I can't believe what the fuck I've just done. I put everything, ruined relationships, ruined this, ruined that, put everything on. In fact, I have to become someone in this world, or I'm no good for anybody.
Where does that come from? Where did that compulsion, that drive?
It comes from a disgusting place of not being fulfilled in your life, of afraid of dying, having never accomplished anything. That's a fear that some people run away from, that people don't want to face. When you have a real fear of dying and being just another person, that I live to pay the bills. I made $1,000 a month. This is my life. I spray for cockroaches, man. If If that makes you feel good, that's great. It didn't make me feel good. I wanted to, the first time in my life, after 26 years, it was 24, 25, wherever I was, I wanted to feel good about myself. And that was, as I have the ability to see the end before the beginning even begins. And what that means is I know that to get to the very end, I can see it right now. So before I went to Buds, and I was losing all this fucking weight and shit, I saw myself walking across the fucking stage at 191 fucking pounds, 'cause that's what I had to get to get into the door. I saw myself 6 months, a year later, whatever's gonna take me to do it, I saw myself walking across that stage, getting that fucking certificate of graduation from Buds. And I was able to be there at 300 fucking pounds. And that feeling, that I was nowhere near that fucking feeling, I was able to put myself there 1,000,000 times every fucking day. And that feeling of like, my God, that is gonna feel fucking amazing. That's what made me suffer. That's what allowed the pain to be real and say, this is worth it. I want to feel for this fucking next 18 months. It took me 18 fucking months to finally become a Navy SEAL, to finally, just get through Buds. 18 months, it's 6 months. It took me 18. That's what woke me up every fucking morning, was I'm gonna put myself through this much fucking pain and suffering for a few seconds. That's all it is. A few seconds of joy. It's so fucking worth it, man. That's what people don't get. So I'm able to put myself at the finish line, even though I have no finish line, but at the finish line of an event before I even start the motherfucker, to say, how are you gonna feel at the end of this?